Please join in the singing of our national anthem. Representing the three-time Stanley Cup champion New Jersey Devils, Arlette.
I feel like I'm at a game. Oh my gosh. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Happy Devils Thursday. They're dropping like flies.
Even your intro was very malaise.
The intro had about as much enthusiasm as the team did.
This is the Let's Go Devils podcast, episode 16, dropping like flies. I am Sam Wu, the Rod Roddy of the Let's Go Devils podcast. I'm going to turn it over to the two hosts, Beer Baron and Short Sky.
Thank you, Sammy.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. That look on your face, Beer Baron, about sums up the entire night right there.
I look exhausted. I feel exhausted. It just, I'll tell you, in the beginning, that first period, they were holding their own. Ken Appleby was, he was playing on his head, dancing on his head. But it just, that's what happens when you don't have Taylor Hall, when Marcus Johansson gets knocked out with another concussion by a cheap shot from that D-bag Marchand. But, it's tough, man. It's a tough game.
Yeah.
There's way too many injuries right now. They limped into this break, and they've won 2 games out of their last 12. You know what I mean? So
yeah, it's a pretty awful stretch.
Yeah, so let's hope that this is the swoon that they were due. They can go into this break, get refreshed, and come out of it, and regroup and try to see what they can get.
That's also what we were hoping when they had that week off, that they would come out of that week and they would turn everything around, but they couldn't do it after that break either. They can't score. They hit 2 posts tonight at least.
Mm-hmm.
The passes were off the mark. They couldn't get their stick to the puck. Yeah. I don't want to make it sound just like like we're complaining and everything, but it was just they look awful. They look awful.
What suggestions would you have to change anything? What could they do to help their scoring woes? I mean, having Taylor Hall out the last 3 games, that's a huge reason why they're not scoring right now. That's you see how big of an impact he has in the lineup. They get shut out tonight, and like you said, they hit a few posts. Nico hit a post that could have tied up the game.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm maybe I'm an internal optimist that I always try to find the positives. There was some good play there tonight, here and there in pockets, but they got hemmed in their own zone like crazy. And when you see what happens when a good team plays them, they were just getting out. They were getting, skated circles around them. So
there were two things that I noticed specifically, and it was two. It was two different 2-on-1s. One was in the first period, and I believe the other was in the third period. Where I know that the one in the first it was Nico Hischier and I forget who else, but Hischier was carrying the puck
Miles
down the
Wood.
left side, elected to pass. The pass got deflected off. The defenseman did his job like he's supposed to. Shoot. The same thing in the 2-on-1 in the third period, elected to pass. Those are the situations, especially with their lack of scoring right now. Just shoot. Put it on net. Something's eventually got to go in. That's one thing I would tell them. I would tell them, you know what, forget the passing, shoot from all angles. 'Cause at this point, to break this slide, you're going to need to score, stupid, dumb goals, dirty goals. Because the goal's a goal. It doesn't matter how it goes in. It's just they have to score. They have no score, and this is what the last two home games where they were shut out. I mean, that's awful.
Yeah, and I mean, you nailed it on the head. They're not shooting enough, and it seems like even when they are shooting enough, they're not getting quality shots. They're just pretty much straight on, from the top of the circles or something like that, where they're not really getting high scoring chances, or putting themselves in a position where they can score, with a deflection or with somebody in front. It's always, the goalie has a clear path to the puck, and it's tough. They're a young team. You know what I mean? So you knew that this was going to happen. And it was kind of hard. Like you set yourself up for like a disappointment because they start the year so hot. Everything's going really well. They're still in a playoff position at this moment. You know what I mean? So like, even as we speak,
that's crazy.
Even though they're having this,
that it just with the slide we've been on, to still be in the playoffs, to be in a playoff position still is crazy to me, because it just, the way the slide is gone, you would assume that they would have just fallen right out of just any kind of contention.
Yeah, no,
crazy.
Right? And I mean, like the crazy thing is too is they could still bounce back. You know what I mean? They could get Taylor Hall back. Things could start clicking. I don't know. I just think it's going to be interesting to see when he comes back. You get that top line rolling again. But guys like Palmieri have to start putting the puck in. You know what I mean? Like there's the second line, Palmieri and Zajac. I just feel like there's such a lack of production. And, Zajac had that game where he scored a couple and things seemed like they were starting to turn around. And then the well dries up again. And Palmieri, was starting to put up a few points, and then same thing with him. And maybe it's time to start switching things around. Maybe,
It seems like the well's dried up for a lot of players. We had, decently even scoring all over the place in the very beginning of the season, but that is, has since dropped off. But they just seem like a lot of the plays tonight, it seemed like they were like a step behind or half step behind. Passes were to skates. They couldn't handle passes. It just seemed like they were off. They weren't very tight offensively at all.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There's something. I mean, with these guys being so young, I mean, maybe it's a confidence issue. Maybe they're not used to this type of a slide, and it's something that they have to learn to deal with. And I'm like you. I'm always trying to be positive. I'm trying to be positive, and I gotta also hope that this will give them a little bit of, this is what it feels like to lose. And if we continue to stay in the playoffs and make it to the playoffs, maybe they can have that in their back pocket. But I mean, at some point, with the way the Metro Division is as tight as it is, these losses are really they're gonna come back to bite us.
Yeah, considering that there was 6 teams that were within 3 points of us as of tonight. I mean, that's that's crazy how big of a swing. You could go from, second to seventh in a blink of an eye. So, I mean, yeah, they got to start putting wins together. They also have to start getting, offensive chances like we're just talking about. What about bringing up somebody like, I don't know, they brought up Rooney tonight, who looked all right. He looked like,
Mhm.
he held his own tonight.
He
But
did.
what about bringing up like a
He did.
Quenville or somebody like that has a little bit more of a scoring touch?
At this point, with the way that they're playing, I mean, how could it hurt?
Mhm.
With Hall hurt, it really couldn't hurt. Just to bring him up and just see what he does. Does he shake up the lineup? Does he make a mark? Does he come in and make an impact, which would be awesome. Maybe got to look at benching some of the players who aren't producing right now. You got to do something to wake these guys up.
They need some energy.
It's a matter of finding what it is to wake them up.
This is the ghost of Sam Wu talking. Yeah, I mean, guys, there are a lot of injuries. I mean, both goalies are gone. I mean, I'm afraid for the e-bug, the emergency backup. I'm afraid for that guy right now.
It's funny because
why? You're afraid he's gonna get time?
Hey, Eric Burns writes, well, we have a weak defense, very weak. We still need to build our offense. We made improvements, but still proves we are still rebuilding. 100%. I think Eric makes a great point right there. I'll give him a few likes.
Yeah, no, it's definitely still a rebuilding project, and I think we slightly got ahead of ourselves with the way we started the season. I mean, we started well ahead of what we were expecting. And then with what we as a fan base expect to win all the time. And since we haven't won in 5, we haven't really been winning since 2012. It was like, oh my God, we're winning again. And then now it's like back to, now we're back into the dregs of the rebuild.
Yeah, but I mean that brings up 2 points though. We're in the middle of a rebuild, right? So there's the obvious that we weren't supposed to be where we're at right now. But at the same time,
no,
because where we're at doesn't mean it's over. Season's gone. Like let's pack it in. Let's stop showing up to the Rock and I'm gonna go hang my jerseys up in the closet and like no, that's like you can't give up hope right now just because they're going through this downslide. You got to think about it. Like you just said a couple minutes ago, if they reshake the line combinations and kind of maybe bring somebody up or bring somebody in, you never know. It might change some things. And I hate the argument because I know there's some Devil fans out there that are going to be like, if we didn't trade Henrique, this never would have happened and blah, 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 blah.
I know.
Which is absolute BS. Which is absolute BS because I hate to break it to you, as much as I love Henrique, he would be sitting on like 6 goals right now and, 8 assists or something like that. I think the offensive, the lack of offensive outburst right now is just, they're just snake bit. You know what I mean? And there's just like other things going on. I don't think that trade is what turned the season into where it's at right now. I just think it's a young team. They're not used to playing this many games too. You got to think about it like that. It's a grueling season. It's not.
It really is.
It's not easy. The travel, you're playing the best in the world. It's not like you're playing in the, Swedish Elite League or the AHL or the KHL. You're playing in the NHL. You're playing with the big boys now. Like you're not going to go out in the ice and get an easy win, or you're not going to go out in the ice and, dangle through an entire, team and net like 4 goals in a game. It just doesn't work like that.
Especially in our division. Every team is so evenly matched up in our division that none of that is going to happen. So it's just a matter of they've got to figure out a way to break through this slump. And maybe they got to do something differently, like the coaching staff, and just maybe have a different kind of practice. Like they're, not like a punishment practice, but like a more open practice to have some fun. That's always an option. Take them out, do like a team building thing, like a random team building thing. That's always an option too. It's just, I don't know. I mean, we're not there at practices, but they got to do something to change this up. They got to do something to change this up. I just got that text from Sam too.
Yeah. It's all right, Sam. I'm not gonna go jump out my window.
No, I'm not gonna jump out my window either. But it's like there's something not right that's going on that they're not clicking.
I'm watching the Facebook feed, and Eric Burns, who thank you very much for jumping in on the conversation. He had a lot of good things to say, but he just wrote in. He's like, or a Larry Burns pep talk, or Larry Robinson pep talk. God, I can't talk tonight. Yeah, I agree. You know, it's funny. Like maybe they need to have like one of these, like you said, a loose practice. Maybe they need to do something. Maybe they need to go to like a strip club and just make it rain on some strippers or something like that. Loosen up the atmosphere.
Hey guys, like, I got a good marketing idea for the Devils. If you're talking about Eric Burns' Larry Robinson pep talk, they should have Devil season ticket holders go in the locker room right in front of the players and start throwing garbage cans all over the place and throwing benches and all that just to get the team rounded up.
And throwing jars of jelly.
Yeah, jars of jelly. Sponsored by Smuckers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
F this jelly. No, but I mean, the team did have a closed door team meeting right before that Boston game, and it seemed like they really responded, and they went out and they played a hell of a game until the refs came in and gave them the old hard one. So who knows, man? I'm just like a positive, like, an optimist where I'm like, you know what, this is a slump. They'll break out of it. I rocked my Violent Gentleman shirt tonight instead of my jersey because I figured maybe my superstition's kicking in. I got to change my jerseys around and put one downstairs, bring one upstairs, and stupid crap like that. Do something different. Change it up. Change the line combinations too.
Yeah. No, and something's got to change. And maybe this off weekend's coming at a good time where they can figure it out. I didn't see. I wasn't able to check again after late this morning what the outlook on both Snyder and Kincaid were. I know Kincaid was skating this morning, but I don't know what his prognosis is. Nor do I know what Snyder's is.
Yeah, another reason why they need to go to the strip club because it has something to do with their groins. But I mean, like, in all honesty, though, you could see there was an energy brought in by Appleby. He faced 26 shots in the first game that he came in for Kincaid, stopped them all.
Yep.
Came in for Schneider, only had to see 4, but stopped them all. Went almost 2 full periods tonight against an amazing. Nashville's no joke. Like getting to see that team, because I never, like last year I watched them during the Stanley Cup Finals and stuff like that, and a couple playoff games here and there. But during the playoff hockey, like everybody looks good. Like everybody looks really good. And they're flying around. Damn, are they a well-oiled machine? And their defense is like, I'm so jealous of how insane their defense is. And just like looked at Yossi, Subban, like, dude, I would take their like 5th defenseman on our team right now. Like they're freaking good. And they're fluid. They move the puck and they attack. At one point, the Devils got in the first period, they spent like 2 solid minutes, if not longer, in their own zone because Nashville, they were just coming in waves. I was like, dude, do they have like too many guys on the ice right now? Because it feels like there's like 10 Predators like skating around the around the
all
ice.
over the place.
Just relentless. And it was crazy too. Like, you watch this and I'm like, the Devils are built for this game. They're fast. They're, they can move around. But, Will Butcher's still fresh from the college game. You know what I mean? Like, he's still young. He's still developing. Damon Severson, even though he's been in the league a couple years, is still young and developing. Like our defenseman, we don't have a Yossi.
I got scared when he went down.
Oh, geez. And that should have been a penalty, too. You know what I mean? That was a knee to knee. That was a straight up knee to knee hit after he got rid of the puck. He took a couple strides and still after he got rid of the puck. It's garbage.
I know, and we were talking before this, and it's the reffing that we've dealt with in the NHL recently looks like the same reffing that we see in high school hockey here in New Jersey. It's just not consistent, and it just seems really off.
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know, dude. They got to figure something out, and like I don't want this to be like a like you said, like the season's not over. It's only January. I actually started, and I know I've said this before. I started compiling a list of what our January, February records were because I've always known them to go in a slump, and I made it up to 2003-4 starting in 94, the 93-94 season, and they've had pretty marginal January and February. Nothing phenomenal, but nothing awful either. Not as awful as I remember. Maybe it's just a lot of 500 months in January. But this seems to be one of the worst, and they just got to break out of it. They got to do something to break out of it. I feel like I'm a broken record. That's all we've said tonight. Is they got to find a way.
Yeah, and I mean they had those 2 games in a row where they played Brooklyn, and they had a solid game. They won 4-1. They looked great, and then the following game against Washington, they played them strong, won in overtime, and it was like, here we go, like things are going to start to click.
Yeah,
and then it was like, I think that was after that Washington game. I'm trying to remember, was the first game that they got shut out in.
I'm looking at. I got the schedule here right now. Washington, they lost 2-. Yeah, where are we? 31st. I don't even know. Oh, you know what? I went way too far ahead. There we go. Now I'm in 2018. All right, I know how to work my phone finally. Yeah, Detroit, we lost.
Detroit,
we lost. Yeah, we were shut out in Detroit, 0-3. We lost to Boston 2-3. Yeah, and then Philly was another. It's like, come on.
Well,
yeah, and then tonight another shutout at home.
So they had 2 games where they played really hard, and then it's just been injuries after injuries. There's been other things that have been piling up, and the whole Kincaid thing and the whole Schneider thing. I mean, that's not good. As well as Appleby played tonight, and as well as he's played, in his stint coming in. It's tough. It's hard to just walk in and be like, "Hey, guess what, pal? You get this. You went from being in the AHL. Now you're going to go play against the Nashville Predators." It's like, Jesus.
Yeah. I know. But good for him though. He got his first NHL start. That's like a kid's dream. He has more starts in the NHL than I do, which is 1. Or which is I have none. He has 1 now. Sorry. I don't want to make people think I'm better than I am, but that's probably the bright spot of tonight is you got this 22-year-old kid who went 93 minutes of shutout hockey playing in the AHL for the first time and got scored on his 43rd shot against. That's pretty awesome. His parents were there. His parents were there. The sponsor parents that were there that he lived with when he was, I guess, playing juniors.
His billets.
Yeah. I mean, the kid got his dream start tonight. It's too bad it was a loss. And I think they quoted him in saying at the beginning of the night that you only get 1 first game in the NHL, and it's a bummer it was a loss, but he'll still remember it he'll remember it fondly as his first NHL start, but and he's always going to have that, yeah, but it was a loss. That's just a competitive person.
It's one of those things that, like you said, it's like got to be a dream come true. And it's funny because I was listening to the broadcast, and they were talking about him, and they were talking about Mackenzie Blackwood, who is his backup tonight, which is kind of funny because Mackenzie Blackwood was drafted 47th overall, I think they said, in the second round, not too long ago. And Appleby started on the depth chart in the season. I think in the preseason he was like the 4th goaltender on the roster, or
number
like the
4,
on the list. And then Wedgewall Wedgwood got, traded to Arizona, and Blackwood, his game wasn't really on point. So then Appleby kind of like, went past him, and then he's been playing pretty solid.
Yeah.
Which is really funny if you think about it too. They brought in Eddie Lack. I was for sure thinking that they were going to bring up Eddie Lack, unless he doesn't have a 2-way contract or he has limitations in his contract that how many times they can bring him up.
I think he just got injured. Didn't he just get injured?
Yeah,
did he? I don't know.
Yeah, I saw something that he was working with team doctors today or something like that. So yeah, he must have got injured too. So it's like the injury bug as far as goaltenders is 3 deep right now.
Do you think we should go to the injury report? Do you think we should go to the injury report right now? Because go over all these injuries. It's a big. It's yeah, exactly. I think we should go over to the injury report.
The entire roster.
Yeah, pretty much.
Injury report. What do you got, Sammy?
Hold on a sec. Let me just cue this up.
All right.
You know how bad I am. Hold on a sec. Yeah, sorry about that. That was pathetic.
You gotta work on the fade outs, man.
It's hard
to work on the fade outs.
Yeah, it's hard to do. If you look at my screen, it's these buttons are really small, but yeah, I mean, think about it. Think about all the injuries, okay? Corey Schneider.
Yeah.
Kincaid. Let's say Eddie Lack, just because I could have sworn I saw him on the injury report. Johansson is going to be gone for a little bit. Taylor Hall, he's bagged up. He may not be an all-star, right?
No, he's not. They announced that he's not going to all-star game, and Brian Boyle is actually replacing him, which I think is phenomenal.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and he played at Tampa,
that was
right?
Towards the end of the game.
Yep.
Yes, he did play.
And then you have Brian Gibbons, he injured his hand.
His thumb.
Right? Yeah, his thumb. I know Hugh Weber came down with the flu, a source said, Devils president. So, I mean, it's a bad injury report. Yeah, I know. Or send Hugh Weber to the other team's locker room. That's what we need to do.
Yeah, right. Go over there and start licking the lockers on the visitor side. But I mean, there's a lot to be said about the injuries. Marcus Johansson, don't forget about him, is now on concussion protocol. He's on the IR because of dude. I don't give it. It's like I want to like Brad Marchand, but he is the dirtiest scumbag in the world. And I was defending myself from a hit. Just
okay.
Bag of D's.
It was not,
like just
if you watch that, you watch that video. He clearly raises his elbow. Like
he goes in. Yeah, he goes in elbow high on purpose. He's such a scumbag. Yeah. And I mean, to be honest with you, like Johansson, like that's his second concussion in how many months now? So who knows how long he's going to have to be out for? And then that's going to end up being an issue, later on down the road. And I mean, but all that being said, all these injuries happened within the last 4 games.
2 weeks.
That doesn't excuse the group of last 12 games. That's the problem. Isn't just like an isolated injury, injury incident where this is all happening because of injuries in the last 4 or 5 games. This has been going on for the last 12 games that they can't get out of their own way. There's been other issues, referee issues, which there's 5 games in that 12 that you can say that there's an impact, a direct impact from the referees. I'm not saying they would have won. I'm not saying they would have lost. I'm just saying that there's a direct impact from the referees that directed the game into a different direction or affected it in a way that the outcome was affected, which is absolute garbage.
Yeah, I know.
And it pissed me off. Like these are the things that I don't want to hear. It's like I didn't want to hear that the referees came up to John Hines and Miles Wood after the game and they're like, "Oops, sorry, should have been 2, not 4." Like, F you.
Yeah.
Like, don't even say it. Don't even say it. Just tuck that in your back pocket. Get in your little, Honda Civic and drive away.
Yeah. No, you don't want to, because you know what? And now, Hines is going to say, okay, well, these guys screwed up. Are the next guys going to screw up? And now you're going to start questioning and the refs lose their credibility. It's just you don't do that. If you're gonna say anything like that, you gotta phrase it better. Like, oh, sorry, should have called it different. Maybe just word it different. Word it better. I don't know. It's you don't do that after a loss. And like I don't know.
That's
I don't know. It just seems like it's. We both want to be positive, but we can't find many positives to talk about right now. It's being
the
Ken
refs,
Appleby got his first start.
Yeah, the refs suck. Players are dropping like flies.
If Ken Appleby played really well, he could have easily gotten an endorsement from Applebee's. No, I'm just saying if let's say he pitched a shutout tonight and they went on like a 7-game streak where he was like playing out of his mind and all of a sudden the Devils were like, maybe we found heir apparent and
get like a free appetizer if Ken Appleby wins.
Yeah. Go and get some Ken Applebee's wings or something like that.
Yeah, right.
That would have been pretty sweet. I don't know, man.
Sweet.
Let's see what happens after the All-Star break. There's a positive though that you just brought up to our attention is Brian Boyle being sent to the All-Star game, and it's not okay. Some people will be like, "Well, he's only going as like a pity thing or whatever because he's battling cancer." He's actually having a pretty surprisingly, a good season. He's got 11 goals on the year.
Yeah,
I think it's justifiable. I mean, there's probably other guys that got snubbed. Yeah, I mean, there's other guys that got snubbed that are probably whatever. But dude, it's an All-Star game. You know what I mean? Like, this is a good.
Do you guys remember when
good moment for the NHL?
Do you guys remember when John Scott went to the All-Star?
Yes, I do.
The MVP or the Rory Fitzpatrick, vote. Which I still think it was rigged by the NHL, so he won't go.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah,
but that was.
Yeah, I'm happy he's going. I'm so happy he's going.
Yeah, me too. I'm going back to Tampa Bay where he played for a while. There's going to be a huge outpour of support for him there, and like I said, rightfully so. It's a great character person, great guy, well deserved. I hope he wins the MVP. He has a John Scott type of moment.
That would be fantastic.
And by the way, the whole John Scott thing, like people voting him in thinking it was a joke. Like, I don't know if you ever read his Players Tribune about that whole incident and like the All-Star game and how everything went down. It was like super emotional to read.
I haven't read it yet.
He felt like bad that people were like making him into a joke and like listening to the radio and announcers being like, this is a joke and blah, blah, blah. He doesn't deserve this. And then all of a sudden he started to feel like the support from fellow players and he's getting phone calls and text messages from like other players who are like, don't listen to them. Like, you deserve to be on this ice as much as we do. You sweat as much as we do. You made it to the NHL and blah, blah, blah. If you want to find a good read, go read that. It was really incredible. And to see how much fun he had in that game, even though he had to wear the NHL jersey because he got put into the AHL.
Yeah. On purpose to avoid being there.
On purpose.
That was a PR disaster for the NHL.
For the NHL and for the Coyotes. Was he on the Coyotes at that time?
And then they traded him to the Canadiens.
They traded him to the Canadiens, and the Canadiens put him immediately.
Dumped him to the AHL.
AHL. Yeah.
Yeah. So
and
he was
like a week or 2 weeks before it happened.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, and that kind of goes along with like all the. Whenever like all the, when you get all the commentators and all the pundits like ripping into these players, it's they're pro athletes and they're recognizable stars. you kind of have to remember that no matter what, at the end of the day, they're still people.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to, you wouldn't want having people ripping you apart for, possibly getting a pretty awesome, experience going to the All-Star game, whether it's a joke or not. You know what? Hey, you're going to go. You wind up going. You're like, oh, well, hey, how many All-Star games have you made? None. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's the one thing you always got to
remember. It's there's so many things that are happening in the sports world right now that I cringe about. Like I'm not going to watch the Super Bowl this year because I can't stand the Eagles. Like I hate the Eagles, and I can't stand. I can't. Just being honest, I can't stand their horrible fans in a terrible city that I had to live in for 6.5 years.
Guys, I gotta interrupt. I gotta interrupt because I read an article. It was an open letter from a Minnesota Vikings fan. He was born in Minnesota and eventually moved to Kentucky, and he's an attorney. And he was there for the divisional game where they beat the Saints.
That game was amazing.
Yeah, and then he goes to Lincoln Financial Field and was just absolutely disgusted. And it's like, what are you doing? And then you start to realize the poor people in the Midwest, they honestly don't know what Philadelphia is like. They honestly don't know. I mean, keep it hockey related. I mean, there have been so many Devils Flyers game where I'm just like, how did I make it out alive?
My first
it's
fist
calmed
fight
down a lot though recently.
It has, because both teams have been so mediocre. But I mean, like the first like altercation or fight that I've ever been in a public place was at a Devils Flyers game, and I even as a kid, I just remember going to games, and you go to games again, like the Rangers, and Rangers are like, their fans are like bougie and like they think they know what they're talking about, but they don't. They try to throw stats at you that make no sense. They remind you of like 94 over and over, and Mateau, and they're irrelevant. Their whole conversation is irrelevant.
The best comeback to any Ranger fan at a that might be at a Devils home game is just like, oh, you just can't afford to go to a home game yourself. That's
yeah.
Hey, Titanic music. Yeah, they just can't afford to go to a game at MSG.
Yeah. I mean, honestly though, but they're Ranger fans are terrible because of that. And then you get the Flyer fans, and they're just like these uneducated meathead morons who just remember that the one game that nobody ever talks about, and they do these like top 10 crazy sports moments. Nobody ever talks about when the Devils were playing the Flyers and a smoke bomb got thrown onto the ice right before a shootout in Marty's end, and then Marty had to go in and play in a shootout during like right after there was a smoke bomb that was thrown in the ice that burned a hole in the ice and burned a hole into the rink. Like nobody ever talks about that as like being a crazy moment. And I remember watching that game and I was like, oh damn, someone just threw a bomb on the ice. I'm like, Philly's really they're really stretching to be like the scummiest of the scumbags in the world.
Hey guys,
I don't know, like throwing smoke bombs on the ice. That just getting more and more into soccer like I have. That just seems like normal to me.
Hell yeah, Johnny!
What do you got, Sam?
Say with something, my buddy Johnny, for listening over at Tavern on the Rocks, favorite bar in town.
Sweet.
Yeah, I actually got tickets for Devils Flyers February 13th at the Wells Fargo Center next month. I mean, I think they play the Flyers like 4 times in 1 month after not playing them all season.
Yeah, the schedule's so weird.
It's weird because they play like, and then we haven't even played the Penguins yet this year. Like the next,
it's
X amount of games are in the division, which blows because then like all these games become 10 times more important. So it's like, oh great, now we're gonna find a time to tank, and it's gonna be now when we have to play all these teams in our division. like that should be spread out through
like
the year.
3 times, and it really should be spread out throughout the year. It's just it's like so. Yeah, you want to have meaningful games at the end of the season. I understand that, but to not play any of your divisional rivals until the last 3 months of the season, it's just like it's pushing it. Maybe the first 2 in the beginning of the season, and then play the 2 more and at the end. That's fine, because that still is meaningful games at the end of the season. But we played the Flyers twice in a week, and then we played them again coming up. This Saturday? We're playing. Oh no, I'm sorry. The All-Star game is this Saturday, but this the Saturday after.
Yeah, whatever
just,
it is annoying.
Three times in a 2 weeks, 2.5 week span. It's nuts.
Which makes me hope that the Eagles get destroyed in the Super Bowl, because if that happens, at least those miserable, scummy human beings will be, sitting there licking their wounds and probably won't show up to the game and harass poor Sam.
Oh my God.
Well,
I will say this. I will say this.
And that dumpster fire of Wells Fargo, whatever the hell they call a rink.
I will say this. I watched those videos of the Viking fans walking into the game, and I'm watching it, and like everyone's in an uproar, right? Like, oh, can you believe it? Can you believe these guys? And I'm watching them going, this really doesn't seem too out of the ordinary for me. I don't know. I've dealt with all this before in Philly and other places.
Oh yeah.
It's like, yeah,
dude,
it's just kind of.
I remember
that's the way it should be walking in.
Yeah, before the Boston Red Sox won a World Series, I remember being 18 years old, going to Yankee Stadium with my buddies, and going in on the subway and the train and taking a bottle of Sprite and drinking this much Sprite and then filling it back up with vodka and crappy vodka, which I broke out in hives. And we got loaded. We go into Yankee Stadium and we're waiting in line, and these Boston fans would walk by, and we were absolutely relentless. And I mean, yeah, screaming at the top of our lungs and just making fun of them and blah blah blah. I mean, then the Red Sox won a couple World Series and the fun's all gone. But yeah, I mean, it's my biggest beef with Philly is just some of the fans are some Ranger fans are tolerable in the sense that they're somewhat polite, or they'll respect Marty because he's one of the best goaltenders to ever play. Philly fans are they're like those meatheads. It's like someone hit them in the head with a tack hammer right before they walked out and put on their jersey. It's like, oh,
there are a lot of classless. There are a lot of classless Philly fans. I will say that.
Oh, terrible.
Not all.
Terrible.
Not all.
Guys,
I'm
not speak from experience too. I lived in that city, so I had to deal with it firsthand. I remember just walking down the street, I'd wear a Devils jersey, and people would run across the street just to yell in your face, and you're like, all right, buddy, you haven't won anything since the 70s, so get out of here, all right? I mean, but that's how the mentality of the whole city is. It's just like a giant dumpster. I'm sure we're not making a lot of friends down in Philadelphia right now, but I don't really care.
No, there goes all of our sponsorship in Philly down the drain.
I can recall this episode. We over here at Geno's and Pat's, we were going to give you guys a big sponsor, but now I'm going to rescind that. And I'm going to take my little rat sandwich. No, they're not. They suck. If you really want to get a good Philly cheesesteak, you have to go to one of those Roach Coaches. Yeah, go to a Roach Coach on the street. Exactly. Get it for $4. You get the best one. Don't go to Pat's or Geno's. They suck. They're terrible. You have to wait in a line. The people are rude. If you're can you not put onions all over it? I don't want onions all over it. They're like extra onions, and you're like, you douchebag. So I mean, those places are overrated. But anyway, Sam, what you're gonna say?
Yeah, seriously, Sam, save the show. The show is turning into a dumpster fire.
Well, yeah. Well, I was gonna actually load up some videos of the best of Flyer fan fights on YouTube and play it. So just give me a moment.
Oh God!
All right, let's
So I have an honest question for you. This is a real question, and I'm going to divert away from the Flyer Ranger fan conversation. Although we were talking about it I think we were talking about it after the show last week about Devils fans that hate the team that they root for, which makes no sense to me. if you were a professional athlete, what do you think would be crazier, to see your name on the back of jerseys, like people walking around with your name on their jersey, or to play yourself in a video game, like to play as yourself in a video game? I think it'd be pretty wild. I mean, either or is like insane to think about. Like
yeah. I think seeing my name on the back of jerseys would be crazier because people are voluntarily buying them.
Yeah.
I just think, I think that would be crazier than myself in a video game, Yeah,
I mean, you could be a pro and you can already do it. I agree. I think it's really cool. I mean, to see like yourself in a video game would be pretty wild. Like you said, seeing like a little kid walking up to you, holding your jersey and asking for your autograph, and to see people idolize you like that, it's got to be a pretty insane experience. Yeah. And then to realize you get to play a game, you know what I mean? Like you're good at
that's your job. You get to play a sport for your job.
Yeah, that's your job.
I thought it's not similar, but along the same general vicinity. I mean, I've seen people who I don't know wearing T-shirts that I've designed and printed.
Yeah, same here.
And I have no idea who these people are, yet I'll see someone wearing it, and it's still a pretty rad thing where it's like, wow, I have no idea who that is, but they're wearing something that I created. That sort of along the same lines of someone buying your jersey with your name on it. It's like, okay. It's a pretty cool feeling. So, it's.
I have to ask you, what is that?
Not a ton.
What is the wavelength on your sweatshirt? What is that from?
Oh, it's actually one of the logos for one of my brands called American Delinquents.
Nice, cool. There's an app that you can download where this is a new thing that people are getting tattoos, where they get wavelength tattoos, and you can scan it and actually can say something, or things like that. We should find one where we should get the wavelength of Doc saying "Henrique, it's over," and put that on a T-shirt.
That would be great.
So when you scan it, you hear that. Yeah, well, let's make this happen. Maybe I should have said that off the air. Trademark. That's all trademarked.
Probably
all trademarked. We did patent pending.
Hey, there you go.
So I don't know, man. I just, what? Man. Going back to Devils, just to reroute this podcast has been kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
Get this time off. Enjoy the All-Star game. Let the team kind of just get healthy. First of all, you see, the thing is that they say it's Taylor Hall's hand. I don't know. I don't remember seeing him get hurt in a game. I don't, when I saw that he was going to be missing 2 games the other day, I was like, damn, what? I don't even remember seeing him get hurt. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what happened to his hand.
I don't remember him getting hurt either.
I mean, and maybe he punched a locker or something like that, or maybe he punched somebody in the face and broke his hand. Who knows?
We don't know about it.
Yeah. Pulled the Paul O'Neill and took his aggression out on a Gatorade jug or something like that.
Right.
So who knows?
I'm glad he's not pushing it and trying to go to the All-Star game just to go.
Yeah.
That's a positive. That,
he's
to take that step back and be like, all right, cool, I'm not going.
Which happened.
And then I don't think, I really don't think that there's any better representative for the Devils right now than Brian Boyle going.
I agree.
And he's been playing really well. I mean, I know we spoke about this already, so this is kind of like repeating what we've talked about, but I don't really think there's any better representative. It would have been cool to see Nico go, but Nico's young. He's got plenty of All-Star games in his future, that's for sure.
They didn't do like
Brian Boyle was great.
This year they didn't do like a Young Stars. You know what I mean? Like, remember that was the thing that used to do like the All Stars, and then they do like the Young Stars, where they'd have like a rookie team, or they'd have like an all rookie. It was like they would have the All Star game, but the night before the All Star game, they would have like the Young Star game, which was like the first and second year. It was usually like rookie, like the rookie class, versus the sophomore year
just
class.
the younger players.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah,
it was
which was
always like
always
really cool to see. Yeah, and they got rid of that, and they got rid of like a bunch of other things. But I mean, like it's the All-Star weekend for the NHL is like one of my favorite All-Star events. Like first of all, they go into it knowing it's fun in games. You know what I mean? It's not like it's not like how the MLB used to try to, put importance into the All-Star game by
to the winning. Yeah.
Yeah, which is absolutely, it's so stupid. Like that's one of the dumbest things ever. Like the NHL was like, it was always just a fun thing. And people forget, like the reason that there was All-Star games, it used to be before like we had TV packages and all these things and I could watch an LA Kings game if I wanted to right now. But like before all that, the only time you'd ever have a chance to see an Ovechkin or like a big time player like that is you watch it on TV during the All-Star game. Then you'd see like your Gordie Howes and guys like that.
Yeah.
Because those were the times that they would all get together. And like, I'm a kid that lives in, whatever town I live in. And I'm finally able to see like these guys play. But now it's like, who cares? Like you can see these guys whenever you want.
And it seems like the NHL guys still want to actually play and participate in the All-Star game. Whereas a lot of the other sports, it almost seems like the All-Star game is a bit of a nuisance, where they don't want to be involved because they don't want to get hurt or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, so these guys go into it, like you said, knowing that it's fun, they're going to have a good time, and they actually want to participate. Like with all the other All-Star games, whatever, in all the other leagues, it seems like they're all worried about injury. These guys go, they're not there to hurt each other. They're out to essentially just screw around and play a glorified version of pond hockey.
Yeah, really.
Just a fun pickup game. That's all they're doing.
It would be kind of cool if they
and then they'll try to
game
do all that outdoors. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I was just about to say that would be pretty sweet if they did like an All-Star game outdoors. You know what I mean? Or if they because like you said, they everybody goes into it knowing that it's like it's just for fun, but everybody still they participate and they want to get into it. What is your favorite? What is your top 3 events at an All-Star game, at the NHL All-Star game? Either past or present. They could be gone because I know some of the format has changed over the years.
Yeah.
The breakaway challenge is relatively.
You know what? This should come as no surprise, but I was a big fan of when they had the goalies a lot more involved in the super skills. They used to have a lot more events for the goalies where it was they used to have lateral challenges where the goalies have to go back and forth left to right laterally and make saves. I mean, I do like the having the goalies try to score, but it seems like they've put more emphasis on the forwards, and the goalies just kind of hang out, and they're kind of part of it, but not really. There used to be a lot more dedicated goalie skills in the super skills, and I was a big fan of that. There was actually one time. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I remember not too long ago when Schneider was representing the Devils at the All-Star game. Didn't they do that thing where they had the 2 goals like right next to each other, and he had to like make a save on one goal and then like go switch to the other one and make a save on that one and switch back and forth, and like there's something like that they had some kind of like goalie challenge that way.
Yeah, I kind of remember that. I was going to say this. There was one season, maybe been back in like 94, 95, where the Devils had a super skills competition amongst themselves, and it was Columbus Day, so it was just before the season started, and it was like free to go to, or like $10 or something, and we went to it, and it was such an awesome event. The players were there; they were having a fun time, and it was just cool. It was just so cool, and they only did it that one time, as far as as far as I know, to my knowledge. So, what about you for events, past or present?
The hardest shot will always be one of my favorite events, just because it is crazy.
That's always fun to watch.
Yeah, and these guys ramp it up, and I mean it's crazy to see when dudes are hitting like 105 miles an hour on a slap shot like that. That just is. You think about it, like obviously perfect condition. So like they're not always going to get that much into their shots during a game. But you think about it, they're still going to be hard as hell, like at least in the, high 80s and 90s. And you got to think about the guys that, go down to the ice to block these shots. And it's like, gee, that's the one thing about how tough hockey players are, because you see somebody who's blocking a shot like that and they get up like nothing happened. Dude, that hurts.
Well, that's because they're not thinking about it. They just do it.
Well, exactly. There was that. I always enjoyed the speed contest, especially when Scott Niedermayer was a Devil, because he won it like every time. Breakaway challenge is kind of fun, but it seemed like after a while, like everybody was trying to do too much and they never were able to pull it off. So it was always like a broken play. But I don't know. I enjoy the weekend. Like, it's cool that they went to the 3-on-3 tournament, and it's more of like a wide open game. Like, there's zero defense, so it's kind of fun to watch. But yeah, that hardest shot is definitely and the target one, the one where they have the accuracy one. Wow, I like that one too.
Eric Burns writes,
pure skills are really fun to watch.
Yeah. Eric Burns writes,
what do you got, Sam?
Eric Burns writes, would like to see Al Iafrate do the slap shot challenge with the new sticks. Because remember, these guys were all wood back in the day when we were kids.
Yeah, and he hit what, 104 or something like that, or 105 like, with a wooden stick.
Al McGinnis, remember Al McGinnis? He had a hard shot, did he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did, yeah.
Brett Hull, I think, used to have a hard shot.
Chara has a hard shot. But the guy is like, but the guy's like 6'9" with like the biggest stick,
Yeah, but he doesn't even own
his stick is illegal.
He doesn't even own the thing.
Yeah.
Chara's stick is actually technically illegal. He had to petition the league to get a taller stick than league maximum. So his stick is actually specifically made for him because of his height. Little kind of random fact there.
I bet you if his stick breaks, they probably saw it off and give it to the other guy.
Yeah, right.
Or build a house with it.
The flex on that stick cut down must be stupid. Or the lack of flex, I should say. It's got to be just stupid.
Indeed.
So, All-Star game this weekend. Go Devils games till next week. Try to bring this back onto a somewhat of a right path.
Mm-hmm. I'm actually going to All-Star. I'm actually down in Florida right now.
You're going to
I'm doing the show from Florida. Yeah, go to the game, skills.
No, I know, I knew that.
Yeah.
He's actually sitting in a hot tub right now producing the show. He's sitting in a hot
tub.
It really is.
Yeah, just turn.
Should we zoom in? Should we zoom into my my Florida bunker studio real quick? Woo!
And he comes and goes as quick.
Yes.
Right? He has the video dissolves and the video fade outs. Still gotta get that sound fade out.
Here, let me
man. Hey, we get to talk. We get to do a show after a Flyers game next week. How about that? That'll be a good time.
God. Which could be good in two different ways. It could be like, hey, the Eagles lost the Super Bowl and the Devils just smoked the Flyers.
One can only hope.
Maybe we should get a phone and
gasoline on that dumpster.
Get a phone and guest for next Thursday? Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's
after Devils Flyers.
Open up the phone lines.
Let's
open the phone lines
real quick.
Flyer fans.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. I've been pretty damn good about not cursing.
Buffalo, Philly, Pittsburgh next week. What are you gonna do?
I said I've been pretty good about not cursing. So you bring on a Philly fan, and I can't make any guarantees.
Yeah, that'll be. Let's do a phone-in show, or get at least a phone-in guest for next week after the Flyers game.
Yeah, I could do that. I could definitely do that.
All right, cool. Works for me.
Yeah, I'm just trying to cue in that outro music. There it is.
You gotta find it. Oh, there it is.
Find it. Yes.
All right.
That's the cue.
So that's the cue. So
The cue's
real quick,
so
no
us,
games
to be
this
honest.
weekend. All-Star game. 3 games next week. Buffalo Tuesday, Philly Thursday, Pittsburgh Saturday.
And those are redemption
decent
games,
schedule next
boys.
week.
Get on the
Oh, I
redemption
hope
guys.
games.
so.
Hey, before we
What do
end
you
the
got, Sam?
show, our new logo is another positive sign. Beer Barrett designed our
That's
new
true.
logo, the Let's Go Devils podcast. I like the new T-shirt design that you sent us, what you rendered. Short Sky, it was pretty
Yeah.
good.
You got merch
I
coming.
agree. I'm a large,
So we got
just to reiterate
merch
that. I'm a
coming?
large. Large.
Yeah, no, everyone should be on the lookout for our merch that'll be coming at some point whenever I do it. That's about it.
We need to come up with more catchphrases so we can start putting them on shirts and stuff.
We can do it.
Let's think of
Just
one
gotta
right
say
now.
something
Before
clever. That's
We should do one where we make the Liberty Bell look like a dumpster and then just have garbage falling out of it.
I don't know if I can back that. That's a that's a historical that's a piece of history right there. I don't know if I can support that.
It's a piece of something, all
Although
right?
the Rangers the Rangers desecrated the Statue of Liberty by putting it on their jersey.
Yeah, they did.
So-
And that's in New Jersey, all right? The border
It
is
is.
that Statue
Yeah,
of
New
Liberty
York-
is in
yeah.
New Jersey.
Yet New York State funded it to be open during the government shutdown. Ooh, politics. Hey.
Oh, no.
We have touched on every
All right.
topic in this show.
This is what happens when they lose. It's like there's a lot of time that we have to fill in.
There's an hour to fill, and we cannot spend the whole hour just complaining. We got to
At least-
change
No,
it
no.
somehow.
At least we're still consistent and we're still doing the podcast. We didn't, throw in the towel.
I agree.
That's true. We're still here.
Next week is going to be a good podcast. I'll try to line up some guests, and maybe we'll open up the phone lines and have Flyer fans call in.
Oh
Yeah,
man,
definitely. Yo,
That's
big
a
shout out
recipe
to
for
Violent
disaster.
Gentlemen.
I love it.
Yeah.
There we go.
Just have the beep button ready to go, Sam. Just have like the dump
Yeah.
button ready to go. How much of a delay is there? And then I'll keep my thumb on my microphone and just keep popping it off.
There we go. We might have to be on like a 30-second delay next week,
Yeah.
just in case.
God.
Oh well.
All right, let's
All right.
end the show.
All-Star game
guys.
this weekend. Let's end
Yep,
it.
All-Star game this week. Let's regroup.
Hey, good
Let's
luck to
heal.
Brian Boyle.
Yeah. Let's heal.
Yeah, seriously.
Let's get ready for next week. We'll be back after the Flyers Devils game next week, right, guys?
Yep.
We will be.
All right. Till next time, let's go Devils.